Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Speaker Spotlight. This is the show where we get the opportunity to speak to some of the fantastic guests that we are going to have at the Customer Service Revolution Conference on September 11th and September 12th in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. And today I am really excited. We have a special guest. I've been looking forward to this particular conversation. We have Kyle Maynard with us. Kyle, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Dave. Appreciate it.
So I am thrilled to have you. I'm sure a lot of our viewers know who you are, but let me share some knowledge so that they remember who you are. Because, and here's the thing, I told you this as we were getting ready. Your introduction is so long and so cool. I'm actually going to break it up over 3 parts and leave some questions in because it's too long to read all at once with all the cool things that you have done. So let me tell our audience who you are and some of the things you have done. So
okay.
Kyle is a motivational speaker. He's a best-selling author. He's an entrepreneur. He's an ESPY award-winning mixed martial arts athlete, which I want to hear more about. And he's also the first quadruple amputee to summit Mount Kilimanjaro. Now, I'm just starting. There's more, but I want to pause here because I have a question for you that I want to ask Kyle. So you were born with a rare condition known as congenital amputation.
Right.
And what that basically did was that stops your arms at your elbows and stops your legs at your knees, correct?
Right. Yeah. So to give people kind of a visual, my arms in right at the elbow and legs at the knees. So I've never really known any other way. And that was just kind of, I think in a lot of ways, one of the biggest gifts that my family gave me very early on was to not focus so much on that or make that such a huge deal and just try to encourage me to figure out ways to do stuff. And, the biography might sound more impressive than the day-to-day reality. I think I promise there's still, work to be done and, whatever, just in terms of like vision and dreams and all of that, like I don't know, I think just getting warmed up, but it's also, I enjoy a lot of time to just relax and enjoy the process too. And learning that a lot more these days of just how to be able to enjoy the journey as opposed to, grump, struggle my way through it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. And, as you're speaking, I'm thinking to myself, the cool thing, it sounds like in your family growing up that you were just Kyle, right? Nothing else really mattered. You were Kyle just growing up like anyone else. What was your childhood like?
Yeah. And I would say, very much still the same, but now I'm Uncle Kai. So I get to be, uncle to my niece and nephew. And I just had a new baby niece that was just born. So that was really cool. Early childhood was awesome. I was surrounded by a lot of love from my family, from my grandparents. They really did a lot to try to help adapt things and figure things out so that I could, figure out how to do stuff, my grandmother, for instance, would, she knew it was really important for me to figure out how to use my arms for things. And so, she'd let me paint on the walls with water or help her cook. Probably one of the early things that was really challenging was she had this green sugar jar that I could only fit one arm inside of, and would have to precariously balance the sugar scooper to bring out, and and it felt like it would take hours to get it out at a single time just to try to balance this thing on one arm to pull it out. But that was such a critical aspect of my learning those early days. And she also taught me to, with my grandma, I'd go shopping with her a lot. We go up and down the aisles of the grocery store and we just practice meeting people. So if you were in the aisle with us, then you would become our target, push the cart up next to you, and I'd reach out and I'd shake your hand and say, "Hi, my name's Kyle." And she'd introduce herself. She'd say, "Hi, my name's Betty, and this is my grandson." And I'd shake your hand and say, "Hi, my name's Kyle." And she'd always say, as soon as people hear your voice and they see your face and they shake your hand, the disability will fade away. So those were a lot of really important lessons in the early goings before I even really knew or identified how important those lessons would be later on.
Wow, absolutely. That's such a cool story. And I'm thinking to myself that introducing yourself lesson was really important to you. It sounds like, and such a great gift that your grandmother gave to you. But it's also a lesson a lot of people could use these days. It seems like a lost art, and like you said, your disability just kind of slid away once you did it. That's a fantastic lesson.
Oh, for sure. It's and I think about that an aspect of your world in the customer service world. It is, it's all about relationship, right? And
Hmm.
I think it's a really important thing for me to shake someone's hand and set the tone early on in the relationship and say, hey, yeah, like I'm aware of this seemingly obvious disability. I'm going to stick my arm out and,
Yeah.
make you, kind of just realize that like we're going to be cool after 10 minutes. It's not going to be a big deal. It's, I think where the attention goes, the energy flows, if that makes sense. So if our attention and focus is on all the things that are wrong with something, we're going to get more of that. It's going to get exacerbated, kind of blown out of proportion. But if we focus on the things that are right, that are good, for instance, I jet my arm out, 99 times out of 100, I get a smooth handshake back. One time out of 100, I'll, get somebody like pause for a second, like deer in the headlights. Whoa, guy, does he have a hand? What does he want me to do? And
Right.
we get through it. And then the other side of it, and everything is all good. But it's just a first way to set that tone and say, hey, it's just want to meet people. If I think I've noticed over the course of my life, like if my attention and awareness is not focused and fixated on the disability, then other people won't as well.
Yeah, and what a great saying. I just want to make sure I got it correctly. Where the attention goes, the energy flows. Is that how you said
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I can't
Love
take credit for it. I don't really even know who or where I learned that from, but it just seems to be so true. So much of life, I've realized, comes down to attention
it.
and
Absolutely.
where we put our focus, where and what we pay attention to, and seemingly, I think there are, you know, esoteric kind of teachings of that, but I think there are very real, practical, examples as to why that seems to be the case in some sort of law in this universe, anyway.
Hmm.
Outside of that,
Yeah, excellent. So I want to get back to your long introduction. So I got a couple of questions in, but we're not done with your introduction. And I apologize. I have to read some of it because there's just so much and there's so many cool things. So you are a champion wrestler, and we're going to talk about that more in just a little bit. But you're also a CrossFit certified instructor and a gym owner. You are a competitive MMA fighter and jiu-jitsu also, I believe. And you are a world record setting weightlifter. And as I mentioned already, you were the first quadruple amputee to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So before we get into the wrestling, I had another question for you. I wanted to ask, with all these accomplishments that I've read so far, and I'm not done, there's more things I'm going to talk about in your bio here in a minute. Of all the things that you've accomplished that I've read so far, is there one thing that even you're like, wow, that was really cool? Does anything stand out to you as an accomplishment that sometimes you're like, man, I can't believe I did that?
there are probably two things that come to mind with that. I would say one would be now, like in present day, in the moment, achieving those things was awesome. It was good. It was part of the journey and part of the path, and but I'd say right now, I look back and I've gotten to speak on almost every almost every major military base in the U.S. And some of my best friends were former, special operations, and and decent number of talks for that community. So those have been some of my favorite moments for sure, and moments to be able to recognize those that have served and sacrificed so much for us, and to be able to contribute in some small way, to be able to go back into. I was born at Walter Reed Army Medical, where most of our veterans do the rehabilitation. So to be able to go back and spend time there over the years has been a really special, unique honor. That, and also, getting to spend time with kids with disabilities, and uh, go into, whether it's hospitals or schools or places where kids have some kind of unique challenges, and be able to show them that, anything is possible with the right, mindset, with the right tools, with the right team, with the right attitude. You just, so much is, we are capable of so much more than we can even conceive. So those things are really important to me. All of the achievements helped facilitate me getting to the point where I could have those moments. But those are the moments that matter most to me now.
Wow, what a great message. And, what I know about you and our time having a conversation with you and what I've learned about you, it doesn't surprise me at all that your opportunity to give back and using some of these great accomplishments to help you give back is what means the most to you. That's really cool to hear, but it doesn't surprise me in the least.
It's a selfish thing though, too, because people don't realize, what we give back, we get in return, right? And way more. So it continues to go in. And if we can help inspire somebody else on their journey, then they go and help inspire others on theirs. There's no greater feeling than that. Really the fulfillment of the hero's journey is the return with the elixir. It's to help that other hero on their journey, not so much just the reward that we seek when we set out on our own.
Excellent message. I love it. Now, I want to talk a little bit about wrestling, because your book in 2005, the best-selling book that came out, No Excuses, talks about your career as a wrestler. And can you just share with our audience how that came about? Because I know that you were kind of trying to figure out what you wanted to do in sports. You tried a couple of things and you landed on wrestling, and it kind of took off from there, right?
Yeah. Well, I started out playing football and would tackle people, was playing nose guard, and would tackle people just taking my helmet and smash it into their shins as hard as I could to bring them down. And my dad convinced me that wrestling would help me with that, tackling in football, and to come out and try wrestling. But at the time I thought that wrestling was literally just Hulk Hogan and all those guys jumping off the top ropes. And, I came out to the practice and realized it was a little different than I had expected. And so I lost a lot. It was in the early stages, it was really tough. I was 11 years old and lost every match for a year and a half. And it really amazes me how my mom and dad, they stuck to it and made me continue to go out and to continue to do it, even though I was kind of crying and didn't want to go. So my life would not be what it is had they not made that decision then. I begged to quit all the time, and they wouldn't let me. So, wow. I think about that lesson now. A lot of times, we want to make things easier for kids and for people. And then there's nothing wrong with that too. Like I said, I'm kind of learning at this stage of my life to enjoy the process more and to struggle through things less and to let things flow more easily. But there is an aspect of things, especially when you're young, that you have to have someone that's going to go and push you to do things that you don't want to do, because your consciousness, your brain is not formed enough to be able to do that on its own, so that you will quit. So for those of you that are listening that might have kids, I don't think it's important that they go and do one thing. You don't want to make somebody do something that's not their natural expression, that, that they hate doing. But yet I think it is important that they do something, and that they learn those lessons from whatever it is, whether it's in the arts, music of sorts, or performance, sports. It's just so critically important that we learn how to overcome those things that come up, because we need those skill sets later on in life. If we don't form those as a kid, then we miss out on so much.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, there's a lot of things that can become habits. And I think I've noticed over time with watching kids, my own kids and other kids, that sometimes quitting can become a little bit of a habit. So you do need that kind of accountability partner to push you along and make sure you're on the right path.
Yeah, we'll recreate those same mistakes until we master whatever it is that we need to learn from that to go to that next level. But I totally agree with that. I mean, so many things can become a habit without us even really knowing or acknowledging it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have another question for you. You touch so many people's lives. You are out there giving back. You're speaking at military bases like you talked about, and I'm going to get into your speaking career in just a minute here. I'm curious, though, you must hear often from people that say what a tremendous impact you've had on them. Are there any particular stories that really stick in your memory? Something that stands out to you, a tearjerker, if you will, of how your impact has really changed someone?
I have, and those moments have been incredible. One that really comes to mind right now that this is maybe unique to me, but I hope that other people that are watching this can understand kind of the universal nature of this. But um, we all help people with our own path and our own journey. Your journey has been different than mine, but yet, you can help people in ways that I can't through your experiences. Like, we all have different things that we've gone through to be able to help teach. But over the years, when I was born, my parents didn't have anybody to talk to. They didn't have anybody to help guide them. And so me and my best friend, business partner, Joey, have kind of become close with a few families of people that either had children that were born as quad amputees, or had an injury where they would become a quad amputee later on. And so, a really special moment was hanging out with one of those, my little buddy, Francis, up in Wisconsin. And we met in a high-rise tower in Milwaukee, and my friend's office, and had this pizza party. And I know that I saw Francis was looking at me, and I saw that he was looking at me and would notice that I was definitely different, looked more like him than others did. And at 3 years old, he had that awareness. It was just wild. Mm-hmm. So we played together, and just had the most amazing time running around the office playing with these cars and swinging them around. That was just a really special moment, because it was also it was for his parents there to help them know, hey, you can do this, it's possible, there's hope to go and hold on to. Like, you can have a great, phenomenal life, because you just don't know. Sometimes we get so caught up in the future of things. And I just heard, we talked about some of the wrestling things. When I started wrestling, I was really, really bad at first. And as a slightly different example, I just heard this story from this mother of, she had 3 boys that wrestled. And she said that every year her coach would write a letter as if it came from me. And that one of the boys had this letter like beside his bed every day, and like went through his entire wrestling career with that. And like, that was kind of just like a moment where I never would have had any idea. So and to bring it back full circle too, my coaches in football and wrestling, my football coach especially, he was just a blue collar construction guy, working a construction job, and he was coaching his kids in the in the football seasons and stuff. But he fought for me to be able to have a chance to be able to go and play. Like, he was the right person at the right time to show up to go and fight for me with that. So I wonder, it's like, how many times everybody that's there, that's listening, we have those moments, maybe not every day, but they show up a lot more often than not, where we can go and try to fight for something that's right, good, just, to help other people in the name of, service, customer service. It's about being of service to others. And even though I know in your industry, I know, but I don't know, I don't know all of the pains it is that you have to go and deal with, that you have to fight through on a regular basis to be able to go and, people can complain, people can whine, complain. Attitude is contagious, right? Attitude is contagious. So people, almost like will pass that off onto us. And, it's just really important, I think, to keep a strong mind around what we can do to help serve others. And, in those moments in time, I think about the people that have served me to help me get to that moment, and in turn want to do the same for them, to go and keep, and honor that. That goes back potentially, many, many, many tens of thousands of millions of years, of bringing us to this present moment now, where it's, stand on the shoulders of giants, of people that had that tremendous gift of wanting to go in and help make the world a little bit better than they found it. So that's guess that's kind of my rant. But I believe that, service and relationships are such a critical component of it. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited to be with you guys.
And we're excited to have you. You're absolutely right. They are so critical, and our audience understands that. So the message that you're going to be delivering is so critical. And I want to get to that because I'm going to jump back into your introduction because I have not finished your introduction yet. And we're still like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes into our conversation. But there's more. So today, you are a sought-after motivational speaker. You're speaking all the time. You're sought after by Fortune 100 companies. You're at Microsoft. You're at Bank of America. You're at Coca Cola. So I know that you provide motivation, but I'm also curious, what do you hear from business leaders when they have you in? That what's the business message that people can take away from you as well?
Well, it's growth, and a growth mindset it's hard. It can be tiresome, right? We kind of frequently jump into that, sometimes getting caught up in the excuses and the economy and all the things that happen and occur. We are not our circumstances. We are so much more than that. And, I think the people that are the top performers see advantages inside of situations where others don't, constantly. No matter what happens, you're constantly looking for what is the advantage with this. For me, for instance, for the body that I was born into was something I begged, pleaded, and prayed to have anything but that when I was a kid. But now, if you were to pass me $1 billion check, like, I wouldn't take it. There's no way. It's the greatest gift that I've ever been given. So I see that in a lot of things, in terms of, economic example, in let's say the financial services world, for instance, when the market collapses, then you're going to have people that have that mentality of Chicken Little, that the sky is falling, right? And the fear and all that stuff that comes in, and it's natural. But yet at the same time, you're going to have some people that switch their mindset very quickly and realize that now there's more money in motion than has ever been inside of human history. So even though the market has collapsed, then they're out building relationships and teaching people to stay the course, to believe in the vision of the economy that we've created and the robustness of it. And then it comes back, and now they've grown their business 3 or 4 times over. Then the market comes back and it's 5 times what it used to be. So it's just that's an aspect of it. It's just, I think, one takeaway would be with that no excuses mindset is that there are hidden advantages within everything. And we just have to go and keep ourselves in that frame of reference to go and see it. But sometimes we get so caught up in the fear and the doom and gloom of whatever is that we miss out on that. So it's a simple message, and it's one that everybody knows, no excuses, but really those excuses that we make are where all of the opportunity lie within, the future growth of our lives.
Yeah, I love that line of thinking, Kyle, because it's so easy to get caught and bogged down in the doom and the gloom and all the lousy things that might be going on in every one of our lives from time to time. And you have to look hard to find those opportunities, but those opportunities are there if you look, and no excuses. You're absolutely right. It's looking for that opportunity in everything that comes your way.
Yeah, I've noticed throughout history the groups that have survived and adapted and succeeded the most have understood that intimately. And enormous transformations are quickly in relatively short periods of time with that shift in thinking, and getting your values in order of what truly matters to you, applying this to your life as an individual, and then applying it to, your team and your community. It's a powerful message. Transformation can happen very quickly.
Yes, for sure. So, Kyle, here's my last question for you. And just based on our conversation so far, you've brought up a few times relationships, making those connections. I have an idea of where you're going to go with your answer on this one. But my last question for you is, as you know, at the Customer Service Revolution Conference here in Cleveland, our audience is made up primarily of business leaders, business owners, people that have worked their way up within organizations, and they typically understand the importance of the experience that they are delivering to their customers. They're here for a reason. They know that it's profitable for them. It helps them do business better. All the intangibles that go along with it. My question for you is, with your no excuses and all these great talks you delivered to all these organizations across the globe, what are you most looking forward to as far as the message that you're going to be delivering to our audience?
I think you guessed right. Yeah, the relationship that I hope to be able to forge with some of the people there, I think will be the most important, and it's because it's also the ripple effect of that going outwards. It's something I've just believe in. Is that if we, my hope is that people would be able to go and take something away from the presentation that has some legitimate effect on their life, that life goes in a different path and a different direction because of something that occurs there at the event. And the ripple effect of that is so profound that we can't even fathom it. The interconnectedness of it all in the world, we take for granted, it's remarkable.
Awesome stuff, Kyle. Thank you so much for joining us today. I was excited to have this opportunity to chat with you. I can't wait to meet you live and in person at the Customer Service Revolution Conference. I know our audience is going to walk out of there feeling so motivated, so inspired to go back. So I can't wait. So thanks for joining us today, Kyle.
Likewise. Thanks so much, Dave. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, before I let you go, I got to remind everybody that the Customer Service Revolution Conference is in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio on September 11th and the 12th. So if you don't have tickets yet, you can still get them. Go to customerservicerevolution.com for all the ticketing information. We still have room for you, but you have to act fast. Kyle, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you in September.
Thanks, my friend. See you all there. No excuses.
That's right. Thanks, Kyle.
Bye.